Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be looking at how families can build a legacy that not only lasts, but thrives in our constantly changing world.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
It really is. You've given me a bunch of articles and research on all these modern approaches to family legacy, and I am ready to dive in.
Awesome. I think you'll find it really interesting. We're talking about way more than just passing down money, you know?
Yeah, it's got to be more than that.
It really is. It's about families creating a shared identity, right? It's about figuring out how they make decisions together, and it's about giving future generations all the tools they need to deal with a world that's more complex than ever, right?
That's a lot. Where do you even begin with something as big as building a family legacy?
Well, you know, all our sources point to one thing that's kind of like the bedrock. Strong family identity.
Right.
It's about getting really clear on your shared values. What does your family stand for? What principles should guide everybody's actions? It's almost like a modern day family constitution.
I like that. So instead of it just being about rules, it's like you're defining what matters most to your family.
Exactly.
But, okay, how do you actually make that happen?
Yeah.
Especially with families spread out all over the place these days.
Well, that's where things get interesting, right?
Yeah.
One source even suggested interactive family websites, almost like a digital scrapbook, but like with a purpose.
Okay.
So you can document your family history, share those core values, and even have younger generations contribute. It's a cool way to keep everyone connected and engaged no matter where they are.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
Makes those values come alive instead of just being stuck in some dusty old document in the attic.
Exactly.
Speaking of modern approaches, the sources also talk a lot about family governance.
Right.
What does that even mean?
Well, it's about having clear decision-making processes,
Okay.
which is super important, right?
Right.
As families grow and things get more complicated.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're seeing families use all sorts of digital tools like family portals and virtual family councils. Yeah, to stay connected and make decisions together.
So instead of those tense holiday gatherings where everyone's trying to figure out what to do with grandma's antique spoon collection,
Right.
you can have these conversations online and make sure everyone's voice is heard.
Exactly. Plus, you can use those platforms to store important documents, share updates, and even vote on decisions. In fact, one of the sources highlighted a family, the Johnsons,
Oh, cool.
who use a digital portal to manage their family business. They hold quarterly virtual family council meetings.
Wow.
I know, where everyone, no matter their location, can weigh in on things like investment decisions, philanthropy, even just family gatherings.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's super cool.
That's a game changer, especially for families with members scattered all across the globe. Okay, so we've got the foundation with a strong family identity and a system for making decisions. What else can families do to make sure their legacy thrives?
Right. Well, it's always inspiring to look at families who are doing this really well, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And the sources we were given, they featured some incredible success stories.
Okay.
One that really stood out to me was the Chen family.
Okay, tell me about them.
So they started with a pretty traditional restaurant business,
Okay.
but they've actually transitioned that into a tech-enabled family office.
Wait, how do you go from running restaurants to a family office? That's a big leap.
It is. But you know, what's so fascinating is how they use technology to bridge that gap. They created a family app to share business updates and educational resources with everybody. Plus, they hold these quarterly innovation meetings where younger family members can actually pitch business ideas.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really neat.
So they're actually encouraging the next generation to shake things up,
Totally.
bring in fresh perspectives. I love that.
Yeah. And it's not about clinging to the past. It's about finding ways to adapt and keep the legacy dynamic.
For sure.
Another great example, the Martinez family. For generations, they were traditional farmers, but they've totally transformed their business into an agri-tech enterprise.
That's awesome.
They've embraced technology while still honoring that connection to the land.
That's so cool. Do they have any specific strategies that help them stay united as a family through all that change?
Yeah, they do. They have this really interesting system called a family bank.
A family bank, okay.
Yeah, it's basically a pool of resources that family members can tap into to launch new ventures or businesses.
Oh, wow.
It encourages entrepreneurship, right? And it supports the next generation's ambitions, but within a framework that benefits the whole family.
That's brilliant. Okay, last but not least, we have the Williams family.
Right.
What makes their story stand out?
Well, the Williams family, they started with real estate investments and ended up building a venture capital firm.
Wow.
But what's really remarkable is that they're just as focused on social impact as they are on financial success. They set up a charitable foundation.
Oh, that's great.
And they have this tradition of doing annual legacy projects where all generations actually get involved in giving back to the community.
That is amazing.
So cool.
They're proving that you can build wealth and make a positive impact at the same time. It sounds like technology plays a big part in all these family success stories. Are there other digital tools that families should know about?
Oh, tons.
Really?
Absolutely. We're seeing a whole ecosystem of tools designed specifically for families.
Okay.
When it comes to communication, family portals like Family App and Trusted Family are super popular.
Oh, interesting. What makes them different from just using regular social media?
Well, these platforms offer private networking just for your family.
Okay.
You can share documents, make decisions, and even have secure video calls, all in one place.
Oh, nice.
And for those who want to preserve and share their family history, there are amazing tools like digital archives, recorded history interviews, and even family wikis.
Oh, cool. So instead of those stories and memories fading away, you can capture them in a way that's accessible to everyone.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And let's not forget about wealth management.
Right. There are custom family office dashboards that let you track investments, access educational resources for financial literacy, and even use investment simulators to help younger generations learn about managing money.
So it's not just about passing down wealth. It's about making sure the next generation knows how to handle it responsibly.
Right.
What about project management tools? Where do those fit in?
Oh, families can use them for all sorts of things, from running the family business and planning for succession to even managing properties together.
Oh, wow.
It brings efficiency and transparency to all their shared responsibilities.
Okay. So with all these incredible digital tools, it seems like modern families have a real opportunity to create new traditions that fit their unique needs and lifestyles.
Yeah, you're right. We're seeing families use virtual platforms for everything from family council meetings and game nights to even sharing family recipes.
It's like having a digital extension of the family dinner table, even if everyone's miles apart.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
And then there are some super creative families creating digital legacy projects.
Like what?
Oh, things like family podcasts, video time capsules, and online newsletters.
Oh, how fun.
They're finding new ways to capture their history and share stories in a way that's really engaging, especially for younger generations.
It's like weaving together tradition and technology to create something totally unique.
Right.
But what about the future? How can families ensure their legacy is future-proof?
Well, it sounds kind of intimidating, but really it's more about being adaptable and open to change.
Okay.
Our sources talk about some pretty emerging technologies, things like blockchain for managing assets, AI for optimizing businesses,
Okay.
and even VR and AR for creating these immersive family history experiences.
Like VR for family history.
Yeah. Imagine putting on a VR headset and actually being transported back in time to experience key moments in your family's past. It could be a total game changer for how we understand and connect with our heritage.
That's mind-blowing. But it's not just about technology, right? What about things like sustainability and social impact?
Oh, those are crucial pieces of the puzzle, too. Families are becoming much more conscious of their environmental impact. They're looking for ways to invest responsibly and support businesses that align with their values.
So it's about building a legacy that's not just financially sound, but also good for the planet and future generations.
Exactly. We're seeing families engage in social impact investing, support charitable causes, and even launch their own philanthropic initiatives. It's about using your resources to make a positive difference in the world.
This is also inspiring. So we've covered a lot, family identity, governance, success stories, digital tools, new traditions, future-proofing. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
What's the most important thing for families to remember as they start thinking about building their own legacy?
Well, the key is to remember that it's not about controlling outcomes. It's about creating an environment where every family member can thrive.
So it's not about dictating the future. It's about empowering the next generation to shape it.
Yeah, exactly. It's about fostering a culture of communication, collaboration, and shared purpose within the family.
Yeah.
And it's about adapting those timeless values to a world that's constantly changing.
That's a great way to put it. The families we've talked about today have all found ways to blend tradition and innovation, which is really inspiring. And it shows that building a legacy isn't just for the ultra-wealthy.
Right.
It's something any family can do, no matter their starting point.
Totally. It's about starting with what you have, whether it's a family business or shared values, or simply a desire to create something meaningful that will outlast you.
Right.
And it's about taking action, right? Even small steps can make a big difference over time.
This has been incredibly insightful. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a moment to really digest everything we've learned so far. We'll be right back after a quick break. Welcome back. We've been talking about all these families that are building legacies that are not just about wealth, but about values and innovation and making a real positive impact. And it's inspiring, but
Yeah. It's a lot to think about.
It is.
And there's like one more piece of the puzzle that we need to explore.
Yeah.
And that's the actual process of transferring wealth to the next generation.
Right.
Oof. That could be kind of a tricky subject.
It can.
But it's kind of essential for making sure that legacy continues. Absolutely. It's all about making sure the legacy thrives for generations to come.
okay. So where do we even start with something like that? It feels like there are a million different things to consider.
Well, the first thing is to kind of shift our mindset a little bit.
Okay.
It's not just about dividing up assets.
Right.
It's about preparing the next generation to handle wealth responsibly. It's kind of like giving them not just a financial inheritance, but also the knowledge and skills to actually manage it wisely.
So it's like you're giving them a toolbox along with the treasure chest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. One of the sources talked about these graduated responsibility systems. So instead of like just handing over a lump sum when someone turns 18, you give them increasing levels of responsibility over time.
Okay.
So, they might start by managing a small allowance.
Okay.
Then they move on to a checking account.
Right.
Eventually, they even have a say in investment decisions.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like learning to swim in the shallow end before you jump in the deep end way.
Exactly.
What other educational tools are families using these days?
Well, there's a growing trend of family-specific MBA programs
Wow.
and even customized financial literacy courses. And they're tailored to all these different age groups.
That's awesome.
So it's about meeting people where they are,
Right.
And giving them the specific knowledge that they need.
Yeah.
Whether it's, basic budgeting or advanced investment strategies.
I can see how that would be so valuable. It's like having a financial mentor, but someone who understands like your family's unique situation and goals.
Yeah.
But what about families that don't have like a business to pass down? Is there still a need for this kind of financial education?
Oh, absolutely. Even if there's no family business, understanding basic financial concepts is crucial for everybody. It's about making informed decisions, managing debt, planning for the future.
Right.
And beyond just like the technical skills, it's also about fostering a healthy relationship with money within the family.
Oh, for sure.
It's about having those open conversations about finances, about values, so that everyone feels empowered to make smart choices.
Right. Yeah, totally.
It's not just about the numbers.
Okay, so we've talked about education, we've talked about responsibility. What about the actual legal and financial mechanisms for transferring wealth?
That's where things can get a bit more complex.
Yeah.
We're talking about things like trusts, wills, and even, sophisticated tools like family limited partnerships. Those are called FLPs, grantor retain annuity trusts, GR-FARTs, and even intentionally defective grantor trusts, or IDGTs.
Whoa, okay. Those acronyms are making my head spin.
Yeah.
Can you break those down a little bit for us in a way that doesn't require like a law degree?
Of course. Think of a GRAT like a financial gitch that keeps on giving. You set aside assets for your heirs, but you still get to enjoy some of the benefits while you're alive. It's actually a really clever way to pass on wealth while potentially saving on taxes.
Okay. All right. That makes a little more sense. So what's the key takeaway here for families who are like just starting to think about all these things?
I think the most important thing is to seek expert advice.
Okay.
These are complex tools, right?
Right.
They require careful planning and real legal guidance. A good financial advisor who specializes in wealth transfer can really help you understand all the options
Right.
and create a plan that aligns with your family's unique goals and values.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
It's like having like a trusted navigator,
Yeah.
to guide you through the financial maze. But beyond all the technicalities, what are some common mistakes that families make when it comes to wealth transfer?
I think one of the biggest pitfalls is a lack of communication.
Oh, yeah.
Families just often avoid having like open and honest conversations about money.
Right.
And that can lead to, misunderstandings, resentment, even conflict down the road.
Oh, for sure. That makes total sense. It's like trying to navigate a ship without a compass or a map.
Exactly.
So how can families avoid those communication breakdowns?
Well, it starts with creating a culture of transparency and open dialogue, right?
Okay.
Families can hold regular meetings to discuss financial matters, share information about investments, and involve younger generations in those decision-making processes.
So it's about making sure everyone feels, heard and understood.
Exactly.
But it's also about, setting clear expectations.
Right. Absolutely. It's really important to have, a shared understanding of the family's values and goals when it comes to wealth. Do you want to preserve capital? Do you want to grow it? Do you want to use it for philanthropy? These are all questions that families need to kind of grapple with together.
It's like you're creating a family mission statement, but for your finances.
Exactly.
It gives everyone a common purpose and a framework for making decisions. But what about those sticky situations where family members have different ideas about how the money should be used?
Well, that's where having a clear governance structure and a trusted advisor can be super valuable. They can help facilitate those, difficult conversations, immediate disagreements, and find solutions that are fair and equitable for everybody involved.
So it's not just about the money itself, it's about, the relationships and dynamics within the family.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to approach this whole thing, wealth transfer, with intentionality and care. It's an opportunity to strengthen those family bonds, build trust, and create a legacy that's not just about financial wealth. Right.
It's about shared values and a commitment to the future.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's about using wealth as a tool to create something truly meaningful. Okay, so we've covered a lot about wealth transfer, but I'm curious, what are some of those emerging trends that we talked about earlier,
Right.
that could change how families approach this in the future?
Well, as digital currencies like cryptocurrency become more and more mainstream, families are going to need to consider how they fit into their overall wealth management strategies.
Oh, yeah.
We might see cryptocurrency being passed down alongside, those traditional assets. It's a whole new frontier that's just beginning to unfold.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the what of wealth transfer, but also the how.
Exactly.
And speaking of the future, what about those super exciting advancements in technology like blockchain and AI? Yeah, I know. Blockchain, with its secure and transparent nature, could totally revolutionize how families manage and transfer assets. Imagine a world where, trusts and wills are recorded on this immutable blockchain, eliminating the need for all those intermediaries.
Right.
Reducing the risk of fraud.
That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's also incredibly practical.
Totally. And what about AI?
Yeah.
How could that play a role?
Right.
Well, AI-powered tools could help families make more informed investment decisions, manage those complex portfolios, and even personalize financial education for all the different family members. It could make this whole process of wealth transfer more efficient, more transparent, and more accessible to everybody.
It's like having a super smart financial advisor available 24/7. But with all this talk about, technology in the future, I think it's important to remember that building a lasting legacy ultimately comes down to human connection.
Oh, 100%. Technology can be an amazing tool, but it's the relationships, the values, and the shared purpose within a family that truly make a legacy endure.
Yeah.
It's about creating something that transcends individual lives and leaves a positive mark on the world.
That's a powerful thought. We've covered so much in this deep dive, from, family identity and governance to the nuances of wealth transfer and the exciting possibilities of the future. I hope you're feeling as inspired as I am.
Me too. And before we wrap up, I think there's one last but crucial aspect of building an enduring family legacy we need to touch upon. Let's shift our focus now to the importance of creating new traditions in this digital age.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing. What kind of new traditions are we talking about here? Welcome back. We've been on quite a journey exploring family legacy, haven't we?
We have. We've talked about values and wealth transfer and even what the future holds for families building a lasting legacy.
It's a lot. And I feel like every time we uncover one layer, there's another fascinating layer underneath it.
There is. That's what makes it so interesting.
So, as we're wrapping things up,
Right.
I know you mentioned that there's one last piece we should touch upon.
Yeah. I think it's important to talk about creating new traditions, especially in this digital age,
Yeah, new traditions. That makes sense. And I immediately thought of things like, start a family book club.
Right.
Or have virtual game nights. Those are great ways to stay connected, but is there more to it than that?
There is. I think it's about finding ways to kind of, weave together that family history, the values, the aspirations, in a way that really resonates with today's digital natives.
So like instead of just passing down stories, we're creating new ways to experience them.
Exactly. Imagine creating a family podcast.
Oh, fun.
Where different generations can share their perspectives on important events or just family lore.
Yeah.
Or how about developing a virtual reality experience that allows family members to step back in time, actually witness key moments in their family's history?
That's so cool, like turning family history into an interactive adventure. And that's something that everyone can contribute to, no matter their age or tech skills.
Exactly. It's about engaging everyone and making them feel like they're a part of something much bigger than themselves. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Something as simple as, a family blog.
Okay.
Where members can share recipes, travel stories, even their thoughts on current events.
I love that. So it's like creating this digital tapestry, right? That reflects all the richness and diversity of your family.
Exactly.
But beyond the digital realm, are there other ways that families are, creating these new traditions that feel relevant in today's world?
Yeah. One trend that's gaining some traction is this idea of legacy projects.
Okay, legacy projects. What does that mean?
So these are collaborative endeavors, right, where you bring family members together to work towards some common goal. It could be anything. Restoring an ancestral home, writing a family history book, or setting up a charitable foundation.
Oh, wow. So it's about creating something tangible that really embodies the family's values and leaves a real lasting impact.
Right, and it's a fantastic way to bridge generational divides, right?
Totally.
Foster teamwork, create those memories that will last a lifetime.
Yeah.
These projects can be big or small. The important thing is they're meaningful to the family and they align with their shared purpose.
It's so interesting because as we've been talking about all these different strategies, from governance structures to digital tools to new traditions, I've realized that building this lasting legacy isn't really about following a set formula.
Yeah.
It's more like...
It's an art form.
It's an art form, you're right.
Yeah, it's about weaving together all these different elements, finding what's authentic to your family's unique story, values, aspirations. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
So it's about being creative, adaptable, and willing to, experiment, see what works for your family.
Totally. And it's about, embracing the journey. Building a legacy isn't a destination. It's this ongoing process of growth, discovery, connection. It's about leaving the world a little bit better than you found it. Not just for, your descendants, but for generations to come.
This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on what it truly means to build a family legacy that lasts. But before we go, what's one final piece of advice that you would give to those families out there who are just starting to think about all of this?
I'd say the most important thing is to start the conversation.
To start talking about it.
Exactly. Gather your family together. Share your hopes and dreams. Start exploring the possibilities. And remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward creating something truly meaningful.
That's such great advice. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your expertise with us. Our listeners are going to walk away with so many great ideas. So
it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep building something extraordinary.